I know my chance with her is blown, well, my mouth gets carried away. I'm tongue-tied, 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 I get tongue-tied.
What up, IDS Mob? HarryWilmington here, and today we're going to be answering the question, how can I feel more secure around my rich girlfriend? This guy's going through a situation. He's met this girl. It's his girlfriend now, but she came from a background that had a lot of money, and he did not. And there are times where he's feeling insecure about his ability to keep her attraction, in spite of the fact that she's saying, I really, really like you. So we're going to get into his situation. As always, guys, if you have a question you'd like answered on one of these shows, write to me at HarryWilmington@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to do a video about it. If you want your question answered sooner and maybe you need some one-on-one help, go to introvertdatingsuccess.com, click on the coaching tab, and we can set up a one-on-one phone consultation. So let's get into this guy's situation. He says, my girlfriend, who's 22, and I, who's 24, have been dating for about 9 months now. Her parents are very wealthy, and she's had 5 relationships before me, while I only had 2, and only 1 was serious. She is extremely beautiful and has grown up popular and loved all her life. I'm just an average guy, and I was nothing like her growing up. My family was lower middle class, and I only have a handful of friends. Around the holidays, I get reminded of our differences. She buys me extravagant gifts and has a nice home to take me to, and I have to scrap my money together to get her something nice, and sometimes feel awkward taking her to my parents' home since it's nothing compared to how her parents live. Despite all this, she is very loving. She's shy and sweet, has been hurt in the past relationships, and depends on me a lot. I like being there for her and providing for her, at least emotionally, because that's the only way I can provide for her. She has never made me feel like I'm not enough, but rather doubts herself. I'm introverted, and so is she, so we spend most of our time together either at my place or her place. I love her, and I'm helping her heal. I just always feel like I'm standing in her shadow and not enough for her. I don't know how to change that. You know, there's a whole lot of talk these days about, we'll say it's high value women, but I don't mean, we know high value is different to us than what the world means it to be. So that'll be another show. But the point is, so there are women out there that make in excess of $100,000, $200,000 a year. And the general thing that's being promoted now, at least by a lot of the content that men talk about, is how women that make that kind of money are always trying to, look up or get a higher value guy. So for example, if she makes $100,000, then she's looking for a guy that makes at least that or more than her, right? So that's the narrative that's been pushed. And I think that's really, really sad, because in my personal experience, I have found that the majority of women that I've dated have actually made significantly more money than me. And at no point in time were these women trying to push the fact that they made more money. Even if we got into fights or got into disagreements, there was never this thing of her saying, well, but I make more money than you, so I run the show. Or, well, you think you're so great, but guess what? Who's bringing the bacon home around here? And I say this because I think men have this narrative in their head so strongly that women are always going to be trying to look out for a guy that makes more money, that when they find one that makes more money, they're always thinking any given time, I'm going to lose this woman. There's going to be a guy that comes along that's better, that's richer, that's got a fancier car, that's got a better house, that's got richer parents and whatever, and she's going to go for that guy because monetary-wise, they have more in common. But I want you to think about this, right? At no point in this entire message did he ever say, me and my girlfriend fight about money. There's never been a thing where he says, she's trying to force me to get jobs that I hate to make more money. There's not been anything that says she's holding this against me. Everything that he said about this girl is positive. All the negative stuff he said was stuff that's in his head and ideas that he has about who she should be going after and what she should be wanting. And that's a very dangerous trap to get into as a guy, because you could end up actually self-sabotaging a relationship, right? So let's go back through this briefly. He mentions that her parents are wealthy. She's had 5 relationships, maybe more. Women sometimes fiddle the numbers, but it is what it is. So, because she could have had 5 relationships and 20 dudes she hooked up with. Not the point here. The point is that she had 5 relationships before him, and none of those worked out. So, if we're going with the theory that she probably in her past time dated with men that are in her circle, what does that say about her experience dating men that had a lot of money? What kind of attitude did these guys bring to these situations that ultimately made it not work out? And the truth is that there are a lot of guys out there that do make a lot of money, and that can sometimes come with a lot of attitude, a lot of thinking that they're better than other people, and having this thing that says, because I make all this money, I can boss anybody around, I can tell people what they need to do for me, and they need to just go ahead and jump and do it, right? And so she might have experienced that, where she dated a guy that was making more money and he was overly controlling. Or you meet guys that, because they have a lot of money, they don't work on their social skills. And so he could have been a guy that had a lot of money but didn't know how to flirt, how to really talk to the way she wanted to, maybe was an overly clingy, overly needy guy, and those didn't work out. And then she meets this guy and is like, oh, you know what? He seems like a regular guy. He seems to know how to talk to people. He treats me like a queen. He knows how to, make me feel certain things that these other guys couldn't make me feel. And we put so much emphasis on the whole thing about, oh, women want a guy that makes a lot of money. We forget that there are plenty of other factors that women are looking for. Can they connect? Are things good in the bedroom? Do you look to her aesthetically pleasing? Does she feel like as though she can bring you around other people and you can have a conversation and not embarrass yourself? And so you got to factor in that most women's decisions about men are feelings based and not, I don't even want to say logic based, because that's not really fair to women. I want to say like the feeling side more so trumps the analytical side when it comes to dating for women, right? And so we're using analytical logic, they're using feelings-based logic. If everything in her feelings is saying, this guy is somebody that logically I feel safe with and that is making me feel good and have a good time with him, I could see ourselves building a life together, that's really all that matters. And what I try to tell you guys is this, is that sometimes in these situations, your viewpoint doesn't matter, because your viewpoint could be skewed based on various ideals that really aren't going to help you function in a relationship. And so you're looking at in your head, man, she's got all these people around her with money, and my parents will have blah, 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 blah. But is she showing you signals on a day-to-day basis that indicate that she has a high interest? I.e., when you ask her out on dates, is she saying yes? When you ask for a hookup, is she saying yes? Is she complimenting you regularly? Is she getting you like little gifts when she's just thinking about you? Is she talking about you to her girlfriends and family in a very positive way? If those signals are there, then your money position doesn't matter. Otherwise, she would have brought it up. He mentioned the part about her buying him extravagant gifts. Sometimes guys will have that happen and start thinking that either she's trying to signal that I need to be able to do this for her, or honestly, let's be honest, right? Because oftentimes we project out into the world, we'll feel down about that because we feel as though we should be able to do that same thing in kind, and we can't. And we're thinking that this other person needs to have this thing happen from me or else they're going to leave me. But again, there's nothing here that said, I bought her a cheaper gift and she got disappointed and she hated my guts. She's just happy that he even thought about her. Sometimes the most thoughtful gifts are the ones that don't cost a whole lot of money, because what takes more thought? Going to the store and saying, oh, expensive watch, I'll buy that. Or like making her something, or thinking about something you guys did on like date number 3 that you can get a reminder for her for a gift. Like there are other things that are going to be more meaningful gift-wise to women than you just buying the most expensive thing, because after like a week or two, that expensive thing doesn't become as meaningful. But you could be getting things that are longer lasting in your memory that are going to really pack a punch, And so you got to be mindful of that as well. So ultimately, this is all just projection. He even says she's never made me feel like I'm not enough, and she even doubts herself. But he's the one bringing all the doubt. He's the one that's saying, I'm not doing good enough, I'm less than, whatever. Now, I will say that is actually a good motivating factor to be able to set yourself up for goals and ways to get extra money. So I'm not saying that, it's bad that he's in a negative thought process of this being bad for her, but this should ideally motivate this guy to say, I got to get on my goals. I got to get my money together. I got to get myself positioned in a real way, because right now they're in their 20s. And, another thing too is this, women, I found, it sounds weird to me, it probably sounds weird to you. Women like guys that have ambition and that they can see building towards something. So it's not always about you have to have all this money right now. Sometimes women just see a lot of great in you and see where it could potentially take them and potentially what you could become. And the fantasy of that, and then being able to say, and I can help him along on that journey, can be more attractive than a guy that already has all this stuff together, right? And again, the fact that she's not complaining, fantastic. But also as a guy, you got to be realistic in that, in your early 20s, that's okay. But there's going to be a point where as you guys start to get older, let's say you get married, you're going to need apartment, house, car. Kids are going to come. You got to start worrying about how to have money together to help raise kids, send them to schools and all that stuff. And so those issues will become real life things later on. So on some level, I can see why this guy's panicking, because he's like, oh God, this works out. Like, I have no way to help with this, whatever. So, but this is why, again, there's a dating phase, and then there's time where you guys can just be a couple. My brother got married and waited like 5 years before they had kids, because that gave both of them time to be able to establish their careers, to really get some money in, to get a decent enough sized house to be able to have, to, you know, be able to handle kids in. And so you just have to find a partner that you guys can have those conversations about what's going to take to actually build to a point where we're going to really be financially secure. And luckily, Guy, again, despite the narrative that's out there, for a majority of women out there, they don't need you to make like $100,000 by yourself. Realistically, if you're bringing in, say, like $60,000 and she's bringing in $50,000 or $60,000, $120,000, two people can live off that pretty good. And it can also use that starting base to be able to build towards a larger nest egg when kids arrive. And then also, you know, people talk about, oh, we got to get money for the kids, yada, yada, yada. There's scholarships out there. And the reality is, as a kid's growing up, you have time to save money for that too. Like, you can invest in 401k, stocks and bonds, real estate, whatever. But you can't look at where you are today and think, because I'm not where, because I don't have all this money and all these things today, that she's going to eventually not like me. Again, if you have a really good girl on your shoulders, she's going to want to help you build to that point, all right? So don't count yourself out. Stop doubting yourself, because it's all just projection. If she's not bringing anything negative to this, then you need to let your negative narrative go. Now, if you're anxious, admittedly, that can be a hard thing to do. You might be wondering, how do I get out of this headspace where I think I'm like less than nothing, or that I don't deserve her? And by the way, pretty women get that all the time. Like, there are plenty of highly attractive women that don't have boyfriends because every single guy is thinking, I'm not good enough, because we're basing it on their looks. And they're just thinking, I just want a guy that's going to like be nice to me and take care of me and hang out with me and have a good time. And yeah, I'm pretty. So if he looks at me and says I'm pretty, I understand that that's going to happen. But like, I want people to look beyond just the shell of me. And so there are plenty of hot, attractive 9s and 10s out there that are single because you guys are thinking, but I'm not good enough. Versus just realizing, this shell, outside of this, you know nothing about people. I've met so many attractive women, they open their mouth and they sound weird, or you start hearing about their life and they go from like a 10 to a 6 really quick because they just have a bunch of different problems and traumas and habits that they're into that just aren't appealing. So you guys got to look beyond the shell. The shell is just the facade. The shell is almost like saying to you, hey, can you get past this barrier? Like, can you get past this facade to know the real me? So you have to almost like ignore the outer shell to really see, but what other things is she about? This girl seems like she has a pretty outer shell and also seems pretty on the inside. So dude can't be in his head messing this up, because he's the only one bringing all this. And the worst thing guys do is they'll bring this stuff to a girl's attention. Well, you know, I just don't have a lot of money like some of the people you're around in your family, and blah, blah, blah. And then what does that do? That now makes you look like you're not confident and that you're anxious and that you think less of yourself. And that's unattractive, all right? So you guys need to start being more positive in where you're at in your life at the moment, and recognize that most women are, if they're saying yes to you and they're dating you 9 months and there's no complaints coming out, they're not like resentful towards you or having some hidden agenda. They're like, oh my God, I'm eventually going to dump this guy. Like, typically that means they're pretty good, because otherwise she would start saying, you know, it'd be nice to go to this really expensive restaurant. It'd be nice if you got me this really expensive gift. It'd be cool to do this really expensive trip. If she's not doing that, it's because she understands where you're at and she's just happy for your company. And that's totally fine. All right. But if you need help figuring all that stuff out, go to introvertdatingsuccess.com, sign up for, click on the coaching tab and sign up for a one-on-one phone consultation. We can start getting you to think in a more positive light. Also, join the Introvert Dating Success Membership Academy. It's chock full of lessons that are designed to help you learn how to meet, greet, attract, land, and keep women, as well as how to become more accepting of who you are, either as an introvert or just as who you are in general. But you know, basically being cool with your authentic self and realizing how to like show the best of yourself to women so that they'll want to date you as well. Again, all at the website, introvertdatingsuccess.com. Lastly, of course, my friend Naumwan's got an album coming out on February 10th. It's called No Girls For You. And the first single from that, called Tongue Tied, is out now. The music video for that will be coming out very, very soon. Yes, we shot a music video for this puppet video with a very special guest star in it, all right? So that's coming out soon as well. But check out that song. It's pretty funny. You can download it at the link below or stream it on all platforms. That's all I got. I'm Harry Wilmington, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. I'm out. Peace.
When I see a hot girl, my tongue gets twirled. I don't know what